Hi, I'm Cheryl, and I'm going to be sharing with you how I made this Father's Day card. Yes, I put a little glitter on there. Fathers like glitter too, you know. And then on the inside it has a nice little sentiment. So let's get started here. I have a piece of Whisper White cardstock, and this is 5.5 by 8.5, and it's scored and folded at 4 1/4, so it's standard A2 size card. From the Dazzling Diamonds Glimmer paper, I had a piece about 3 1/4 by 3 1/4, and I cut this circle out. Let's see, let me grab this out. And I used the Layering Circles Framelits dies. I used the largest die, and then not the next to the largest, but the third from the largest. And I just put that on my paper, and I taped them just to make sure they didn't move, and I had a nice even circle. I have a piece of watercolor paper, and this is, I didn't write it down. So let me measure. Okay, it's 2 inches by 5.5 inches. I have a strip from a designer series paper, and this is from the Delightful Daisy, and this is 1 by 5.5, and a piece of Night of Navy. This is 2 1/4 by 5.5, and I used the Waterfront stamp set for this, which is a lovely watercolory stamp set, and I used, let me get it out. I used the mountain die and the trees, and then I got this lovely stamp set on Amazon.com, and it's by MSE, which is My Sentiments Exactly, and it has all different kinds of Father's Day things. It's got a couple different ways of putting the Father's Day, but we're using this one, and then we're using this sentiment. Although I don't always say it, Father's Day is the perfect time to say you're special. So that's what we're using on the inside. And then from Peace on Earth, I'm using just this little deer stamp right here. So let's see, what else have I got here? I've got a pencil, an eraser, I've got my Aqua Painter, I have my Tombow glue, I have a piece of paper towel, and my mini Stampin' Dimensionals. If you have the strip type dimensionals, you could use those also. I'm going to use the minis. I have my snail. I have this corduroy ribbon that Stampin' Up came out with. That's in Night of Navy. So I'm going to use some of that. I have my Memento Tuxedo black ink, and then a whole pile here of the classic Stampin' Pads. Early Espresso, Crumb Cake, Wisteria Wonder, Marina Mist, and Garden Green. So we can get started on the card now that I've gone through all of that. I told you I have my snail, right? Okay. So, we're going to start. Okay, there's my card base and my piece of watercolor paper. I'm going to start by stamping those with the Memento black ink. So on the front, I'll be using the Happy Father's Day stamp. And cross my fingers that I get a good impression. Okay, right there. So there's that one. That came out good. That makes me very happy. And then I'll do the inside of the card. Ooh, there's glitter in there. Ha! So let me grab that stamp and ink that up. And I'll stamp that. That's 1, 2, 3, and up. And that looks pretty good. And now we can go on and get going with our watercoloring. Let me get rid of that Memento black ink so I don't get that on anything I don't want it on. So now I have the piece of watercolor paper. I'm going to take my circle, I'm going to put it down on my watercolor paper just like so, and just below my Father's Day sentiment, and I'm going to take my pencil and just very lightly, I'm just going to make a light line here. So that gives me a guide that I know where my watercoloring has to be. So I don't know, can you even see that? There you go. I'm going to start out with the ground color because we're going to be stamping over top of that, and I want to give it a chance to dry. So I'm going to use my Crumb cake for that, and my Aqua Painter. And I'm going to go, let's see, the middle is right about here. I'm going to go just below the middle there, and I'm just going to put down Crumb cake. Just watercolory. I'm going to go just a little bit past my line. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Maybe we could put a little more color in there, huh? Let me pick up a little more of that ink. Okay. Alright, that looks good. And then we'll do our sky above it. Well, you know what? Next I think I'll do the mountains. Then I know where my sky has to be. So I need my Wisteria Wonder. I like that for the mountains. I'll ink that up. And put my mountain right on my ground there. And then I'm just going to stamp this off a little bit on my mat, because I don't want it really full strength. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'll wipe that up with my paper towel. A handy thing to have. So let me make sure I've got my Aqua Painter cleaned out here. Okay, that's good. So we don't want to get the crumb cake in the sky color. And as I'm using the Marina mist for. So Stampin' Up is redoing their stamp pads. Big news, big news. Going to come out with some new colors. They're going to get rid of some of the old colors. So, I decided I'm going to just keep using my old colors. I'm going to get the new ones. So I'll be getting the new ones, but I'm going to keep using my old colors. So if you already have the old colors, then don't worry. I'm going to still use them. Okay. And my trees. Where are my trees? I seem to have lost my trees. Oh, there they are. They fell off the stamp pad, or the stamp block. There we go. And on my original card, I think I stamped them a little bit too low. I want them to look more in the background. So I'm going to stamp them a little bit higher this time. That way they'll look more like they're in the distance, not like right on top of the deer. So I'm going to do the group of 3 right there. Oh, and I'm using the garden green ink for that. That's one thing new about the new stamp pads. They have a little label to go on the inside, so you don't have to look at the outside of the ink pad to know what you're using. And we'll do these up a little bit higher too. And that looks good for my trees, and all I need to do is add my little deer, and my panel for the front of the card is done, and we can start putting it together. Okay, so I'm using early Espresso for the deer. And I want to stamp him so he's kind of down in the front here more. So there he is. A happy little deer. Now I'm starting to sound like Bob Ross. We make some happy little trees in the background. And see, that's going to go right on there like that. So I'm going to take my eraser and erase my little pencil lines, because they shouldn't show, but just in case, I'm going to erase them. So we have this lovely little scene there. You could actually skip the glittery circle if you wanted to and just attach it to the card like that. But I wanted a little glitter for the guys. Guys need a little glitter too. So let me see. I'll need this. My card base opens that way. I'll need my Happy Father's Day. I need my Knight of Navy and my little strip here. The first thing I'm going to do is put my little strip down. And I need my Tombow glue for that. I'm going to put that down. I want to leave room for my ribbon and for just a little edge of white there. So there. And that looks good right about there. If I get it straight, it'd be even better. So there's that piece down. And now I can glue my Knight of Navy behind my watercolor picture. And anytime you feel like popping up on here, either of these two panels would be a good place to do it if you wanted a little bit extra dimension. So I'll line that up. There we go. And I can adhere that down. For a card that has so much going on it, it goes together pretty quickly. And line that right up there like that. And we can put our ribbon on now. And I just used my snail. Watch this. I'm going to just snail right along the side of that paper, and you probably can't see the snail, but it's there, I promise. And I'll bring my ribbon out. I'm going to extend it just a little bit past the end at the top, because I can trim that. I'll trim that off then, and just run that right down, just like that, right on my snail. Look at my nice sharp little scissors out here, and turn this over and just trim that ribbon. I really am. I'm using my Bob Ross voice today. Okay, and now all we need to do is put our circle on. Unless you don't want to use it. That looks pretty nice without it, doesn't it? But I am going to put it on. and get myself a bunch of these little dimensionals here. This is exciting, isn't it? Watching somebody stick dimensionals onto a project. But I could have done this ahead of time, I suppose. I try to do things ahead of time on the video so you don't have to watch the boring parts. I've learned to how to edit my videos, so I can now stop the video, and then actually I have two little videos. I can put them together, and you don't have to watch a lot of boring things like me die cutting stuff. And that's generally it's pretty standard stuff. Nothing special about it, so I'd like to try to skip over that. And here we go. These little dimensionals just fit on this too. Boy, I see one actually it's poking out here a little bit. I'm going to just take my scissors and cut that off. Alright, now I'm going to get right over top of this. I want to make sure that that's right in the center there. And there we go. The card is finished. So if you've liked this card, then please hit that like button down below. It doesn't get me anything special except a little bit of personal satisfaction. I don't win any prizes or get any money for it, but I do like to see when people like my cards. If you'd like to see more of my videos, then hit the subscribe button. If there are any Stampin' Up! Products that you'd like to purchase today from this card, then you can do that either through my Facebook page or my blog. And I have little extra things on my blog, so you might want to check that out. And that's it. Oh, as always, I'll have all the tools and materials that I've used today listed down below. And that's the end. This lovely little Father's Day card. So y'all take care, stay safe, and happy stamping.